It's a day. So this is our six-figure speaker masterclass day 2. Yesterday, I mentioned that when we did day 1, I mentioned that the reason that I'm doing this training, in addition to the 5 days of training that I did last week for the Speaker Pathways to Profit workshop, is because I know that some of you aren't ready to go all in for a whole year and work with me inside of our Thought Leaders Circle program. Now, if you are, then just go to applyfortlc.com. And if you're not, stay tuned, because I'm going to mention to you at the end, I'm going to invite you at the end to another offer program that we've created for those of you who just want to get like what you need right now to be able to get the momentum to move forward and then get yourself prepared to come into the Thought Leaders Circle program. So, as I mentioned, Speaker Pathways to Profit workshop, that was last week. So it was 5 hours of training, complimentary training. If you'd like access to that, comment replay, and I will get that to you. Just know that those replays go away tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you're thinking about joining Thought Leaders Circle for this cohort, that also closes tonight at 11:59 p.m. If you want the replay for Six-Figure Speaker Masterclass from day 1, then just put six-figure and replay, and I will get that to you also. All right. So yesterday, thank you for joining me, by the way, because I know you could be doing anything else, but you're here with me. Yesterday, we talked about some things related to what you have to do to position yourself to really get established so that you can get these 5-figure and 6-figure contracts, right? Whether it's on a conference stage or whether it's through corporate organizations or through government contracts. And essentially what we're talking about is positioning, which is one of the P's of our P6 framework that we teach our clients in Thought Leaders Circle. And in that positioning, one of the things that is essential and vital for you to be able to just, go out there in the world and be known for something and have people be attracted to you and want to pay you is for you to have a signature talk. So a signature talk or a signature presentation, however you'd like to define that. So yesterday we talked about uncovering your unique message. So make sure that you watch day 1, because today is going to build upon that. And we talked about the importance of really understanding and uncovering your why, understanding what is your true expertise, not just things that you can talk about, but the things that you really want to speak about in the world that are really going to create impact, right? And it's not all the messiness of your life, but that could be part of the message. It's just how you really pull that all together. And I just want to say something about that for a quick second, because I was listening to something the other day and they were talking about the whole idea of message. And, people always say this, oh, inside of message, there's the mess. And we want to talk about the mess. And there are people, though, in this world who are like, but I don't have that mess. I really don't have that mess. And I want you to understand that you don't have to have mess to have a message, right? And so I don't want you to get tied up in that I don't have a sob story. I don't have a traumatic story. So that means that I really can't go out there and make this type of money. That is so not true, right? Because everybody's not in for the mess. Everybody's not in for the trauma. You could have a perfectly wonderful life. I did. Right. And still go out and be positive and talk about those things and still shift people's perspectives, still transform your audience. Again, it's just how you put everything together, how you position yourself, right? And understanding who your audience is. Now, if your audience are people who, need the mess, right? Need that real adversity and overcoming story, and you don't have one, then that's not your audience. Right? So you have to understand your audience. So we talked a little bit about that and understanding the impact that you want to create. Also knowing, so just back to what I was just saying about knowing who your audience is, really identifying, and I spoke about the difference between your paying audience and your consuming audience. If nothing else, go back and watch day 1 just for that. Like that is worth everything. That is that right there. Go back and watch that. I promise you, you'll thank me for doing that. Then we talked about creating connection with your audience, and then really talking about the structure of your talk. this is so vitally important too, that your talk is structured in a way that it creates a journey and takes people on the journey that they desire, not the journey that you want to take them on, the journey that they desire. Again, that all goes back to your positioning, understanding your client, knowing who your client is, knowing their problems, knowing their desired transformation, and understanding how you uniquely can solve that for them, right? Can get them from their current state to their desired state. So that was day one. And I want you to go back and check that out if you haven't, because it will give you a lot of clarity around your messaging and around putting together your signature talk. So today, what I want to talk about is a little bit more on the presentation side of it. So yesterday was really about the structure of it. Today is more around presentation and how you can leverage it out in the world, right? So if you think about any of the speakers that you see, they all have a message. What they also have is a message that is not particularly complex, right? So I want to focus on that for a little bit. So this is, we're going to be talking about how you craft a clear message. So 3 things we're going to talk about today: crafting a clear message, like how you really present, right? An empowering presentation, and then also amplifying your reach, meaning around your branding. So let's start with crafting this clear message. So when you listen, right, to all the speakers and you're able to recite, what they've said, or you remember the things that they've said, the reason that you're able to do that is because their message is very clear, right? There's a clarity and a simplicity to the message. Now, sometimes, right? So I work with speakers who are brilliant, right? Speakers who are attorneys and doctors and accountants and so medical doctors, PhD doctors, HR professionals, coaches, entrepreneurs, women who are degreed, certificated, I'll say that, and just have a lot going on, right? So we know a lot of things. We've been through a lot of things, and so we're like, oh, most of them are Black, right? Most of my clients are Black, and so there's always this undercurrent of wanting to show what we know, right? And validate that we belong where we belong. Side note, one of the mottos for my life is I belong everywhere I am, but I don't belong everywhere. So I'm never trying to validate where I am. And I would really encourage you to think about that you don't have to validate, but I do understand. I understand. I'm not naive. I was a lawyer. I was a practicing lawyer. And so I was in a male-dominated industry. So I understand the undercurrent that is there. I understand the environment and culture that is there that puts us, right, on the defensive and puts us in a place where we feel that we have to validate. The place that you don't have to do that is on stage, right? When you are on stage, simplicity is going to be your best friend. And the reason I was talking about all the degrees and everything that we know is because it's hard sometimes, because we want to go out there and give y'all all our big A words, right? Everything that we've learned, all of the things that we know and understand, we want to give it to you. But here's the thing. You're often talking to people who don't understand what those big A words mean. So what's going to happen is if you go out there and you're in the complexity, right, of your own brilliance, you're going to lose your audience. So you're going to say a word or you're going to say a phrase and they're going to be like, what does that mean? What are they talking? What is the connection that they're trying to make? And then you've lost them. So now they've dropped out of the message. They're trying to figure it out. They're probably on their phone trying to Google whatever it is. Meanwhile, you've moved along. So now by the time they've gotten that answer and they've caught up to you, they've missed a whole nother connection. So now they're lost again, right? When all we can do is keep it simple. I learned this when I was practicing law and trying cases, because we think about a jury, right? If any of you have been on jury duty, I wish I could get on jury duty, but they kick me off. If any of you have ever been on jury duty, you see the vast array of people who are in the pool, right? Come from every walk of life, every socioeconomic status, all types of educational backgrounds, and they have to come together to make a decision about what's happening for this case. Right. And some of the cases I've worked on, or, for personal injury, include a lot of medical terms and, again, big A words. Also work for companies who have every acronym under the book, right? And so they speak in acronyms in their business, so much so that they have to have like a running list that people understand what the acronyms are. But I couldn't take those acronyms and give them to the jury, just be talking in acronyms, because they don't understand. So the thing that we have to do is take whatever complexity is in our messaging and simplify it. And simplification is not the same as dumbing down. So don't get it twisted, right? You're not dumbing down your message. You're not dumbing down yourself. You're not taking yourself to a level where now you think, well, I'm supposed to be the expert and the thought leader on this stage, and now you got me on their level. No, boo. Mm-mm. You will still be the expert and authority. You just have to learn how to simplify the concepts, because remember, this is not about you. If you're up there, wondering and worried about how, this is making you look like, you're not the PhD or the Esquire or the certified, career coach or whatever it is. If you're up there worried about that, you're worried about the wrong thing. What you should be worried about is, are they getting this message? Is this talk giving what it's supposed to give, like they say? Right? So you have to focus on making the complex simple so that people can understand, and so that if you're up there for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, that they are constantly on the journey with you. You don't want to have them jump off so that they can go figure out what's coming up and then jump back on in another place. And now they've missed everything. Okay. So don't get tied up in, you have to use big words or you have to use whatever industry jargon, so that you can feel that you are at some elevated status. Now, on the flip side, if you're talking to your industry, right, then fine, because they will understand what you're talking about. But just make sure everybody in that audience understands, because sometimes within an industry, there are people at a certain level who understand the jargon and other people who don't. So again, it's understanding your audience, right? When it comes to whether or not it's time to use industry jargon. And then also think about, is it necessary? Is it necessary to carry the message? Sometimes we put things in our presentations. You've probably been to other people's presentations and you're just like, why'd they put that in there? Don't be that person, right? Think about why things are being put in your presentation. This is not the place. Your presentation is not the place to share everything that you know. This is the place to share what you know in order to get that audience from their current state to their desired state. You're going to hear me say this all the time like a broken record. To get them from their current state to their desired state. The reason I want you to get that in your head is so that when you start to create these presentations, you're creating it from your audience's point of view. Not from yours, from your audience's point of view. Their current state, their desired state. What's your role? The bridge. Your role is the bridge. So you have to have a solution. That solution has to be wrapped in simplicity so that they can get it, right? And simplicity, even for, high level people, they want it simple too. There's a reason there's a phrase called keep it simple, stupid. It ain't because people are stupid. It's because we don't want to have to think and jump through hoops and do all that stuff. Just give it to me straight so I can go off and do what I need to do, right? So we want to make sure that your message is simplified, that your complex topics, your complex concepts or simple. The other thing is that you want to focus. Again, oftentimes when we're brilliant, which my audience is, when you're brilliant, you know a lot of things. And you want everybody to know that you know a lot of things. No, we need to focus again on what they want to know. Focus on that thing. This is why you need to have a signature talk or a signature presentation, because it causes you to really hone in on the problems that you're trying to solve for a particular group of people to get them to a particular transformation. And when you know that, and when you have that particular focus, it makes it easier for you to develop your own mechanisms, your frameworks, your processes, your systems, so that it's not only you that can do it, but your audience can replicate that, right? That your clients who end up hiring you after you speak on stages, right, who are like, yep, we have that problem, we need that solution, so that you can have those conversations with them. But if you're just talking about, you know how to fix cars, and then you fly airplanes, and I'm also over here a lawyer, and by the way, dentistry got you, right? If you're putting all of those things into one talk, or you're putting all of those things out there in the world, like you could just do everything, you're a one-stop shop, then you lose the focus. And this is where you lose your status as an authority. This is where you lose your status as an expert and a thought leader. Now you're just somebody out here just what you need. Like it's like being on when I was younger, I used to always go to New York in the summertime because my grandmother lived there. And you're walking on the street, and it's like, what you need, right? I got you, what you need, right? So you don't want to be that. That's not who you want to show up as, right? So you really need to get a focus. So you'll hear people say niche down. You need to. I know people are afraid of doing that, right? We're afraid of doing that because we think if we niche down too far, then there's I can't find clients. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You just need to position yourself so those particular clients can find you. There is an audience for everything. There's people out here making money with audiences around anything, crafting, eyelashes. Go look. There is a conference every single day in this country, in the world. Like there's so many conferences and things and associations that you would never believe. And all you got to do is position yourself so that those people can find you. And that when you find those people, when you find those people, they know that you're their person, right? So whether it's for, keynote speech, or an interactive workshop, or a fireside chat, or a panel discussion, or a media interview, whether it's podcasts or TV, or, some other internet show, whatever it is, that they know that you're the person, right? Focus is going to get you there. That focus and that ability to really convey a complex issue in a simple way is money. That's money. I promise you that's money. Okay. Secondly, so that's all about crafting. So that wasn't clear. Crafting a clear message. All right. 2, let's talk about the presentation. So now, yesterday we talked about the message, we talked about our audience, we talked about the structure of the talk, we just talked about keeping it simple, right? And now we're going to have to deliver this message. Here's the thing about delivering a message. Deliver it as yourself, as your true, authentic self. What I see so often that is, it's not serving you, right? It's not serving you, is trying to mimic what other people are doing, right? So we see people out here who are making lots of money in speaking, and they do certain things, right? They have certain mannerisms, they have a certain cadence with the way they speak. They may speak in parables, they may use a lot of quotes. What else? They may use props. They may do, they just do a lot of different things, right? Everybody's doing whatever they want to do. The problem is that we look at that and then we say, oh, well, they're doing that and people are paying them. So now I want to go do that. If that's not who you are, don't do it, because everybody will know. If you're mimicking, a lot of people do this, like mimic the cadence of other people, right? Or use their terms and their phrases. We already know who did it originally. So you doing it is just, it's like a bad copy, right? So don't do that. And here's the other thing, because I've seen this also, is if you're going to quote or use somebody's quote or use something that you've heard and it's powerful and you really like it, give credit, right? Don't just go up there and be like saying it like it's all your own and everybody's like, oh my God, I'm gonna tweet that. I'm gonna steal that. If you don't give credit, you stole it too, right? So you need to, hey D, you need to give credit. And you, as D says in the comments in Facebook, you have to be your authentic self. That's what people are looking for. They're not looking for you to be perfect, right? I don't care if I make a mistake. I'll just say, sometimes I'll talk about the fact that I made the mistake, and other times I'll just move on. Nobody cares. Because here's the thing. When you're presenting your talk, unless somebody helped you write it or helped you craft it, or they don't know what you're going to say. So just keep it moving, right? Or just build it in as part of like, oops, made a mistake. Let me keep going. Because they're looking for you to be human. They're looking for you to be authentic. Now, when I say don't mimic, it doesn't mean that you can't look at what other people are doing, successful people, to understand and then think about how you, in your own uniqueness, can leverage that, right? To create your own things, right? Develop your own quotes, develop your own speaking cadence, develop your own, the way that you want to take people on the journey, as opposed to trying to be them. Because here's the thing, if you're trying to be somebody else, it's going to make it very, very hard for you. It's not your natural tendency. So you're going to have to remember, right? Or you're going to have to practice a lot, because you're practicing to be somebody else. This is not a movie. This is not acting school, right? This speaking is a great responsibility that you have. It is a place where you are sharing, right, your experience and your expertise. And so it should be yours, right? And again, I'm not saying don't use people's quotes, don't use statistics. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying make sure that when you are delivering from your authentic self, right? If you are naturally like a, calm person, and that's the tone that you use, then be calm. If you're like, hey, I'm hyped, like, woo, then be that. Right? But don't try to be hype if that's not who you are. Like one of my clients, I was talking to her about this the other day, and she is a naturally like laid back kind of person. And I was showing her a video of somebody else. I was just, because the person was talking about something similar that she speaks about, and I was just, hey, look at this. And one of the things she said to me was like, yeah, I'm just not that hyper like that. And I know that. I was just showing it to her like as a contrast and to just give her information. So again, it's okay to look at what other people are doing and to see if there's something that in your own repertoire that you want to adjust, or, oh, could you incorporate? But it's not for you to be that person. It's not for you to steal their style and their message. That's not what this is about. Right? None of us is creating anything new under the sun, right? We are just putting our own spin on it, right? So we have to understand that, and we have to be comfortable with that. And we have to know that we just are who we are. And some of you aren't comedians, so stop trying to tell jokes. You're only going to get yourself in trouble. I know people say like, oh, you have to be entertaining. Entertaining is not just about telling jokes. Right? Entertaining comes in many forms. We watch movies where they're scary and they're making us cry. That's entertainment. There's movies where we're laughing all the time. That's entertainment. You got to figure out for you, what is the purpose of your message? Like, what is it that you want to try to get across? How do you want to try to get across that message? Some people want to be very formal. Some people want to be informal. Some people want to be more casual. Some people want to be upbeat. Some people want to be laid back. Some people want to be very preachy, right? They want it to feel like we're taking people to church. It all works. It all works. Just make sure that it's natural to you, right? Make sure that it's natural to you. And that will win the day, right? That's going to help you more than anything else. So sometimes what happens is, like, we work with our coaches, we work with mentors, and again, we see them on stage, we see them doing the things, and so we want to be just like them. And some of them are trying to make you just like them. Mm-mm, mm-mm. No. You don't want to be just like them, and they shouldn't be trying to make you just like them. Now, they can teach you like the processes and the systems and the frameworks and all the things that they do and did in order to get them to be that person, right? And to show up in the way that they show up. But what they should be teaching you is the processes and the systems so that you get to show up as your person, right? How you want to show up. Authentically, 100% you. You're always talking about, bringing our authentic selves to work. This is work. Speaking is your job, right? So bring your authentic self. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see a carbon copy of whoever. They would just go see that person, right? So make sure that you are yourself. Now, one of the things that we talked about a little bit yesterday, and this is also, I want to pull this back into presentation, we talked about making connection with people. And this goes to also what I was saying earlier about mess and trauma, right? One of the things that you may hear or learn about is, like, really pulling people into the story and like really making this connection. And oftentimes we think that we have to make, they say misery loves company, so we often think that we have to make connection inside of messiness, and that we have to make connection inside of trauma. If your message is one of those messages, there is some messiness to it, right? There is some controversy to it. There is some trauma to it. One, you have to be above all of that, beyond that, healed from that, before you get on stage to talk about it, right? You have a responsibility to not pour and dump your trauma, your mess, on other people if you don't know how to then pull them out of it. So you may have gone to some talk before a conference or something, and somebody is like deep inside of what's ever happening to them or has happened to them, and they just haven't fully gotten through it, right? They haven't moved beyond it. They haven't lived through it. They haven't figured out a way to elevate above it. It is still very raw and very real. What happens then is that it triggers people in the audience, right? There may be words that we're using, there may be phrases, there may be things that we're doing on stage, right, that become very triggering to the audience. And because you have not lived beyond it, moved through it, healed from it, lifted above it, you do not have the capability and the skill to be able to lift those audience members out of that. So now you have triggered these people, and you don't know how to get them out of it. That is irresponsible. That is totally irresponsible. And so whenever I work with speakers and I feel that there is that kind of what is it? I can't even think of the word that unresolved. That type of unresolved trauma or mess, either I'm not going to co-sign them, having that as their talk, or we're going to figure out how we're going to work through it. Or there's a way to also think about, how do I speak to it at a different level than being in it, right? There's a way to speak about things above it than rather being in it. And once you start to think about above it, right? Once you get above it, then you will start to this is the process that will also help you to heal, right? It will help you to move through it. It'll help you move beyond it because you're looking at it from a different perspective. But if you can't do either of those things, then you shouldn't be speaking about it on stage. It is irresponsible. You should never take an audience, trigger an audience, traumatize an audience, right? Or create such controversy in an audience if you do not have the ability and the skill to take them out of that. I said what I said. Mad if you want to. But I'm serious. And if anybody teaches you differently, that's irresponsible, right? You really have to take care of your audience. You really have to be responsible for the humans who are sitting in that room, and that they have given you their time, and they're not there to be traumatized. They're not there to relive things because for you haven't gotten over it and you just want to talk about it. And again, misery loves company. Okay. So when we're talking about emotional connection, the reason I brought this piece up is because when we're talking about emotional connection, we're not trying to trauma bond, right? We're not trying to trauma bond. We are trying to help people. So again, if your message is rooted in trauma, which many messages are, and they are necessary, right? So I'm not saying anything. Don't be messaging me or say, oh, Callie thinks that we can't talk. No, I didn't say all that. I said be responsible about the messages that are rooted in trauma. Make sure that you have the skill, the educational level, the experience, the background, right? So I know, for example, one of the hot topics is mental health. That is a vital topic for us to be talking about, right? It is causing so much damage when people have to hide, right? That they have a mental illness or they're having mental challenges. But like diversity, equity, inclusion, when things become a hot topic, everybody thinks that they can talk about it. Because I had a problem, like I did, I've diagnosed myself as being depressed or whatever. We think that or we've been diagnosed with depression, we think that that gives us the ability to talk about those things. It gives you the ability to share your personal experience. It doesn't necessarily give you the ability and the skill and the expertise to be able to take an audience through that journey. Because again, if you trigger them and you don't have the medical background, either, being a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a mental health expert, medical doctor, or whatever it is, somebody who has a deeper level of understanding to notice, right? To even notice in the audience when people are triggered, then that's not the topic that you should be speaking about. Okay. So connection is not just about that type of connection. So that's one type of connection, is making that connection through, those tough things, adversity, all of that. But also when we're talking about making an emotional, it could just be anything, right? One of the things that I'll do in some of my talks, depending on what it is, if I'm talking about bias or something, I might talk about, the reason that I named my son the way that I named him. Or I will talk about intersectionality, and in intersectionality, I may say, I may ask people like, who's from Jamaica, right? Who's been a lawyer? These are all ways to emotionally connect with people, because they're like, oh, she's just like me, right? So think about that too when you're doing emotional connection. It could just be around things that you have common ground, right? And it doesn't have to be anything that is just earth shattering. It could be like me. Did anybody graduate from high school when you were 16? Just right. You got to think now, obviously, I'm not going to randomly just throw that out there. It's going to be built inside of the talk, but you have to think about what are the things that will allow you to authentically, emotionally connect with your audience, because it's all about taking them on a journey. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about today on this, before I also let you know about our new program called The Lab, which is Signature Talk Experience, where we will help you to craft just what we've been talking about, help you to craft this amazing talk and presentation so that you can go out there in the world and start getting paid to speak. And also so you can get prepared to join us in the Thought Leaders Circle. If you're ready now, just go to thestelab.com. And actually, I'm going to drop this right here for you right now, www.thestelab.com. Let me just tell you about it right now. Now I'm going to get to point 3. It's a 90-day program. You'll have bi-weekly live virtual Q&A sessions with me for the 90 days. Also, we will have 3 days, so 3 live sessions where we're actually going to craft your talk, right? And what we'll be using is our signature talk black print. So my sister and I have developed this proprietary system to help you craft your talk. It has 4 phases, and what you'll get access to is the recording. So we have recorded this entire process. I have recorded this entire process step by step by step. So there's 4 phases, but under each phase, each of those phases have like building blocks, things that you need to do in order to really craft the type of talk that I'm talking about. And so you will get access through our Speaker Moguls University to all of those recordings to help you to develop the talk. And then we will get together live virtually so that we can actually give you that one-on-one support that you need to get the talk finished and make sure that it is it's uniquely you, and that it really is rooted in your true why and your expertise. And then we have those bi-weekly sessions where you can ask me questions, right? So that there'll be Q&A. You also get access to some other trainings that we have inside of Speaker Moguls University, our training around positioning. So there's different courses inside of there. Speaker branding, you'll have access to that. And there's one other. So speaker branding, positioning. I forget what the other forget what the other one is. Let me pull it up. Hold on so I can tell you. See, this is what happens when you're getting old. My birthday is in 2 days. I'm getting old, y'all. Okay, so you get access to the Get Paid to Speak Online Incubator is the other one that you get access to. And that is our course that has different, I think it's like 7 modules in that one. And that is all about helping you go from speaking for free to speaking for a fee. So you get access to all of that, and you'll get access to those things immediately. The signature talk experience, all of the recordings for the actual crafting of your talk, that will be dripped to you because we want to make sure that we take you through the process in a way that makes sense and in a way that will allow you to be successful instead of just like dumping you all on it, because we've learned over the past 2 years of doing this live in person, live virtually, one-on-one, in groups. We've done it every single way. We know the process works, but we're always refining it. So we want to make sure that you are successful in the lab. And I called it the lab because I'm like, yeah, we're going to get in the lab. We're going to put stuff together. You know how they get all the concoctions in the lab and make sure that we have everything right so that you can put it out into the world. And hopefully once you do that, you'll want to come and work with us inside of Thought Leaders Circle so we can take you through all the process of the P6 framework. So the lab is really going to be around like the high level around your positioning and making sure that you actually have the message at least to go out into the world. In Thought Leaders Circle, we take you on the full journey. So from positioning to prospecting to pitching, packaging, pricing, and presentation skills. So that's a real full-on intensive program where we're really helping you to do all the things that you need in order to build a successful expertise-based business, whether you want to do that as a keynote, whether you want to do that as a keynote or as a trainer, as a workshop facilitator, as a consultant, all the things, right? We help you with that in there. So The investment for the program, I know you want to know that. The investment for the program for the 90 days is $5,000 if you pay in full. If you'd like to pay in payments, it is 3 payments of $2,000. So all you gotta do is go to thestelab.com and register. Unlike Thought Leader Circle, there is no application. For Thought Leader Circle to get in there, you do need to apply for the STE for the lab. The Signature Talk Experience, you do not have to apply. You just need to go to STE Lab, thestelab.com and enroll. And again, it's $5,000 to pay in full and then 3 payments of $2,000. So I want to invite you all to do that. If you also are interested, though, in applying for Thought Leader Circle, that closes tonight. Our cohort openings for our cohort end tonight. So I'm going to put that link in here too. So that's applyfortlc.com. If you'd like to apply for that, then you need to get that application in tonight because that closes at 11:59 p.m. All right. So I just wanted to put that in there for you. And I want to get back to what we were talking about. And if you have any questions, either about Thought Leader Circle or about the lab, just drop them in the comments. I will get notified. I will answer, or you can DM me, right? So if you don't want to put it out in public, you can certainly DM me and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. All right. So let's get back to our last point for today, which is about amplifying your reach when you have this message. So sometimes we think about, okay, I have this signature talk and I have this signature presentation, and we take that and we relegate it to just being on a stage, right? Or just when we're in talking to, the clients in the corporation, to the employees, to the leaders that we're working with. We just take that and I created my signature talk, I created my presentation, and that's just all that it is. It's not. You have to use that. That becomes your content. That becomes your branding. That becomes who you are. You're supposed to live, breathe, eat, all of that. And that's what you should be putting out into the world. This is what you're going to use to brand yourself. Like, who do you want to be in the world? Right? What do you want people to know you for? If somebody is to speak about you in a room, or they're in a room and they hear something, how do they know what you do so that they can speak your name? You do this, right? You take this talk, and this is, again, when we talked about the structure of the talk yesterday, I was talking about how we help to build the structure of the talk so that you can leverage it in all the different situations, whether it's a sales call or a media interview or podcast interview, whether it is on stage, whether you're going to develop a masterclass or a coaching program, whether you're going to write a book, you're going to develop a product. See, the behind me right there, top, whatever, I can't do my finger properly, that that book and that product, which is a card deck, was developed from my talk, right? It was developed as a result of my signature talk. So there's so many things that you get to do, right? You could do virtual events, you could do live events. It is like just only limited by your own imagination, right? You could do anything with it, but you take it and that becomes your branding. That becomes what you're known for. That becomes what you want people to know you for, right? So you have to this is why it's so important for you to be you. This is why it's so important for it to be authentic. This is why it's so important for it to come from you, from your why, right? Because then nobody else can be you. So then your brand becomes authentically you, as opposed to a copy of somebody else. We don't want to do that, right? We do not want to do that. So this is really this talk, this message, this presentation really becomes your signature. It becomes the cornerstone of your brand, right? So when people go on your social media, when they go on your website, when they go, when they see you out in person, all of it should align, right? You shouldn't be on stage and this is what I talk about. Okay, but this is only what I talk about on stage. And then I go on your social media, or I meet you in person, or I hear you talking on a podcast, and you're talking about something totally different. Now, unless you have multiple talks, like I have multiple talks, what they do though is they all align and they can all be meshed together. So I'm not having to have like one, branding message over here for this and another over here for this and another over here for this. Even in my capacity as CEO of HR Legally Speaking, which is me, right, as a professional speaker, right, and corporate trainer and keynote speaker. That's my brand as that. And me as the CEO of Speaker Moguls, where I work with women experts, speakers, doctors, lawyers, consultants, coaches, entrepreneurs to help you position, package, and present your expertise. It's all aligned, right? It's all aligned. And so what you have to think about is, how do I want to show up in the world? Back to the positioning, which is also how we're starting to develop the branding and then taking our message, our talk, to really put a bow on that and say, yep, this is who I am. This is who I want to be in the world. This is who I want to be in the world for these type of people. These are the problems that I solve. This is how I solve those problems. So now you can attract your audience, right? And so you have your own brand. You have your own uniqueness. We call it your unfactor, right? Things that make you unapologetic, things that make you unlike anybody else, things that make you unfuckable with. Yeah, I said it. I said it. I don't curse all the time, but I do curse a little. So yeah, the things that make you your unfactor. So you have to think about in your branding, what does that mean? Now, your branding also involves all of the other things that are aesthetic, right? But the aesthetics should be born out of all of the things that you've created, as opposed to just picking your favorite color or just picking something that somebody said looked nice, or creating a logo that you're a speaker and, oh, it must have a microphone or something like that, right? Because everybody has one of those. No, like think about, what is the messaging? What is it that you're trying to get across? And then that will help you to show people visually, make that emotional connection, right? So the emotional connection is just not on stage. It's the emotional connection of your brand, right? It's, how do you embody your brand? What do you look like? What do you dress like? What do you wear? Right? It's the total embodiment. All of that, however, comes from all the things that we were talking about in terms of understanding who you want to be in the world for who, right? Because think about your audience and the embodiment of who you have to be for your particular audience, right? Does your audience want to see you like decked out in a suit, right? Really pearls, everything just really formal, because that's who they want to listen to? Or are they looking for somebody who's more casual? Or they're looking for somebody who's like really stylish? Or what are they looking for, right? Because you cannot be the opposite of who they want to connect with. You can't make that connection. So in terms of understanding who that audience is to begin with, that's important for then how you embody the brand and then show that brand visually to your audience, right? Hope that makes sense for you. Okay. And anything else I want to talk about? Let me just check my notes real quick. No, that's really it, right? Around just understanding the power. What I want to leave you with this is understanding the power of your signature talk. I think sometimes we have it as kind of like a throwaway, or like, yeah, I can have one. I don't really need to have one, or I'll just put one together. I'll just put something together. And what I want you to really shift, right, your perspective around is how really valuable having a well-crafted, thoughtful talk is, right? And how your audience will receive it and understand that you really do care about them, that you really have thought about them, that you really are their person, as opposed to just another person who's going to come and talk at them about some particular thing, don't really get them, don't really understand what they're going through, don't understand current state and desired state, and therefore provide them a solution to go on the journey that they desire to go on. So again, it is like having your signature talk is everything. It is everything. And whether you choose to work with me to help you do it or somebody else, just make sure that when you are crafting it, that you understand that the talk is not just for the stage. The talk is to help you to be able to get to the stage, right? The talk is the thing that is going to position you to get on the stage. And whether that stage is a virtual stage, a conference stage, a corporate boardroom, a retreat, a mastermind, a podcast, a TV interview, you name it, right? Those are stages. Whether it's for it, you have to understand the power, right, of it. So, and understand that it needs to be crafted in a particular way. And it needs to include certain things. It needs to be rooted in certain things. It's not just about having an opening, 3 things in the middle, and a call to action. I promise you, that's not going to get you to be a 6-figure speaker. So if you're ready to be a 6-figure speaker, if you're ready to put together an actual presentation and a talk that you can be proud of, that can embody who you are, that will change lives, will transform audiences and shift perspectives, and allow you to command and demand 5-figure contracts and 6-figure contracts, I'm going to invite you either to work with me in Thought Leader Circle or work with me in the lab. The choice is yours. You could do nothing and continue where you are now, or you can say, I'm going to get from just saying this, right? I'm going to stop talking about it and I'm going to be about it and invest. So you can invest at a 4-figure level in the lab. You can invest at a 5-figure level in Thought Leader Circle. Again, the choice is yours. The links are there. STElab.com is our 90-day program. And then applyfortlc.com is our 12-month program. So decide what you want to do, whether, if you want to do it with me, great, let's have a conversation. And if you decide that you want to do something else, that's fine too. Just do something. Just don't do nothing. A 6-figure speaker takes action. All right, y'all. Have an amazing day. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, drop it in the chat wherever you're watching this, especially if you're watching it on replay. Drop it in the comments. I will get back to it, or you can DM me. All right, that's it for now. Have an amazing day. Take care.